Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here today, and today we're going to be doing the rear brakes on this Toyota FJ. I've already done the front brakes. I'm going to have that in the description ahead of this. Go ahead, click it. It'll take you how to do the fronts. Let's go ahead and jump to the rears. They're going to be a little bit different than the fronts. We're going to pull these calipers off, replace the rotors, and we're going to replace the pads. I will show you though, if you're just replacing the pads, you can just skip the rotor section and go from there. Anyways, let's go ahead and crack the lugs loose on this wheel. Go ahead, put it on reverse. Put that back in a little bit. There we go. And there we go. Now we know all the lugs are loose, so we can pull them off once we jack this up. Next, let's find a place on the frame. We'll jack it up and put it on a jack stand. All right, so one thing we can do is you're only jacking up one side at a time, so you shouldn't have this problem, but if you're worried, go ahead and kick some wood under the tire just to make sure you don't have rollback, because we are going to have to release the parking brake. Now that we have this jacked up, I'm gonna go ahead, slide a jack stand underneath, and then we'll show you exactly where we're going. So if we bring this here, we don't have to be as high as we are right now, so we're going to bring that down. So just put your jack stand like this. We'll lower it down slowly and make sure the frame lands on here. Don't pull the jack out, but have it sitting on the jack stand, and then just have the jack underneath it. So if the jack stand fails, it lands on the jack. What you never want to happen is just have the jack there, because if it fails and you have nothing sturdy and structural like that, what'll end up happening is the jack will slam down and be really dangerous for you and anyone working on the vehicle. Done. It'll look like that, and your tire will have a little bit of space underneath it. Let's go ahead, rip these lugs out, and then take the tire off. Next thing you're going to want to do, put a 17 on and make sure we're on loosen, which is down in this case. And I'm going to have to give it more than that. Anyways, loosen this one, loosen this one. We'll be able to slide the caliper off afterwards. So loosen these off. You'll see we have some pins here. Those could definitely use some more grease. Just go ahead, slide these out. That one's not too bad. We got some blue going on, but like I said, we'll end up throwing some new grease in on these pins. Those ones are actually pretty clean. Like, I'd expect more grease usually to come out on them. Anyways, now from here, we can go ahead and work these off. Right, as you can see, that's right there. We're gonna go ahead and put this just up here for a second. Make sure it's not somewhere where it's gonna fall. Just, yeah, rest it up there for a second. Let's take a look at these pads. Just got the first pad out. You can see this one is low, and the scraper was definitely a scraping. So that pad is definitely needing to be changed. And so this one, same thing. We'll just give it a wiggle and see if we can wiggle it out. Perfect. If yours are that low, I highly suggest replacing your rotors. That was right into your face, wasn't it? Anyways, so as we can see, we have this. We're going to replace these clips. Don't take them off yet. We'll replace them one at a time. Let's go ahead and back this caliper off first. See the curvature? You'll see that it kind of goes in with your brake pad. Put one of the old brake pads on there. Slip this in. Goes like that. Go ahead, start tightening. Watch the piston and what it does. You'll notice it's already retracting. If yours doesn't retract, one, check and make sure your parking brake is off. Two, if it just does not move, you have a seized caliper and you need to replace your caliper. In our case, it's pushing back. As you can see, it does not look like the caliper is seized. This is good. It's gone in all the way. It should go nice and smooth. As soon as you feel it all of a sudden get solid like that, do not put any pressure on. You're done. Do not go ham. Don't go extreme. Don't pass go. Just back it off. You're good to go. From this point, we'll go like this. We'll remove the old brake pad out of here, and we could technically start to do this. What I want to do though is first take off the last two 17 mils off this, pull this bracket out of the way so we can do the rotor. If you're doing your rotors, this is how you do it. Again, there's only two more 17 mils. You'll feel that they go to the flange off the axle, and that is what's holding this caliper holder on. Load our two little shorty 17s. This slides off like so. Just put it off to the side. After that, this should just come off. If it doesn't, if you can't wiggle it like this, it's fine. There. Just take that off, and we'll put a new one on. Now the new rotor, let's see if I can get you, I think it's 18A 1227 AC, and that's from AC Dalco. Want to? I don't usually do this, but some people say you should. If you're worried about it seizing to the axle, you can throw a tiny bit of never seize on the back. Just be wary that if you get never seize on your pants or any of your clothes, you'll never get it off. And if you want to buy some, go ahead. All you do is simply wipe the never seize on the just on the inside right here where it connects to here. You do not put it on the rotor edge, otherwise you will not stop. Go ahead, take this, line it back up and put those two 17s back in. I've thrown a little bit of Loctite. As you can see, if you've never added Loctite before, you just use blue only and just do one line on it. The reason why you do one line is because when you spin it, it'll spread all over the threads. It'll also lubricate it, which means less chance of stripping and overheating the threads. Caliper holder bracket, go to 96 foot-pounds. There you go. I just hit 96, as you can see, well, 98. But either way, that should be more than enough for the caliper holder. Now these pins, first let's lubricate them, but when we put them back in, don't confuse that torque spec with these. This will be a little less. I'll give that to you afterwards. All right, for these, tiny bit of Loctite on here. Just like that. For this, little bit of Loctite on the threads. This we're gonna wipe off and we're gonna add the silicone ceramic brake lubricant to the pin. That way it slides smooth here, but this tightens down just like it should. Now that we've cleaned and lubed those up, let's quickly switch out our little guides right here and sliders. So these you can just grab and pull off with your hands. Just come down like this, give them a wiggle. Use pliers if you want and remove the ones off the back. We're going to replace them with new ones. Pretty easy, just line them up. He says it's easy as he can't get it lined up. All right, so then just slide them down just like that. Make sure they sit flush. See how it sits just like that? Let's go ahead, grab another one. Do the exact same thing. This tab goes out. So make sure it goes like this and then squeeze up. Once the ones on the rear are shaped in just like this, make sure they are fully seated. You can even take a screwdriver just to make sure they are. But whatever you do, don't put it anywhere near the rotor because you do not want to scratch the rotor with a screwdriver. Anyways, now that we've gone ahead and done that, let's get two of these pads ready and I'll show you where they go. So all these pads are exactly the same. We have to add our own scraper off the rear pad. I will show you. Basically all you have to do though is, as you can see, this one did its job. You just squeeze it onto the tooth just like that. AKA, we'll take this pad, we'll line it up just like that one. So we'll clip it like that onto it. Just like this. Like I said, just slide it so this faces towards the brake pad. Now that we've gone ahead and done that, as you can see, it'll start to scrape when you get down past a certain amount. All right, so let's go ahead now and we're going to slide it into here. But before we do that, lubricate the back of the pad. Let's show you what we're going to do. I'm going to get a little bit of this probably on my pants, and that's fine. Just do this. Never ever lubricate the front of the pad, otherwise you will not stop and completely obsolete your brakes. See how I'm doing this to the edge? This is your slider. That slides on there anyways, just like that. Just make sure that is just lubricated like that. Do the same with the front pad. You can see these slide around a little bit. Right here, grab this, watch. You can slide the corner in just like that. What some people will do is they will, see if I can do this. See how I'm bending it in on an angle? Make sure I'm actually lined up. Come in on an angle, just like that. Now we know it's flush and up. Now do the same with the rear. The rear you're gonna have to compress a little more for our squealer. Don't know how much is gonna show up, but the squealer is now installed and the back brake pad is on. I might have to add a little bit more, as getting that back brake pad on, you might want to just lubricate the back of the pad once it is on, because oh, it is fun to get on. So the rear pad's a little bit more fun than the front. All right, we've already compressed this, so we take it and we slide it back over. You're gonna have to, as you slide it over, work these boots around, because it just so happens that how Toyota does it is the screw is also the pin. So you have to get the rubber boots, you have to line them up over here and make sure that they're not like off to the side, otherwise you're never going to line those pins up. Now that we've got the pin boots lined up, and also inspect these. If they're got a tear in them, you need to buy some pin boots, because you don't want junk getting in here, because if you get dirt and debris in here over time, it'll cause your pins to seize up in here from all of the corrosion. So okay, now that we've got this here and this is all gone, let's go ahead and thread these back in with our Loctite and our silicone lubricant on them. All right, I've gone and I've put these in. The next thing you're going to want to do, put them to 65 foot-pounds. So remember, the ones on the inside that attach the bracket, 96, and these ones 65. With the fronts, if you have this caliper, not the one we have here where it's more like a Brembo 4-piston, you would go ahead and put those ones to 91 for the brake pins. Great job, you've put it back together. Let's go ahead and we're gonna slap the tire back on, line it up, lift it up, and then just get the lugs seated. One important thing to show you is your parking brake. Your parking brake is a drum. I'm not showing you how to do your parking brake. You shouldn't, rarely, depending on how much you use your parking brake, or if you drive by accident with your parking brake on. If you do, then you're gonna wanna go look up a whole nother tutorial on switching out your parking brake. I will not be showing you how to do that in this video. So if you take a look here, this is what we call metal on metal. It's actually seized to the rotor almost. We only know it was spinning because, well, the vehicle was in motion. So 100%, that would have been causing some drag. Once you've done that, go ahead. Oh, not that way. Just like that. Just snug them up in a star pattern. And then from there, since mine does 120 or 100 foot-pounds is what I have it set at, I'll just go and I'll crank it in now till it stops. Now that I've done that, I can lower mine, but I'll probably double check it with a torque wrench. With you, just go as much as you can if you have a ratchet until it starts spinning the tire. Once it starts spinning the tire, go ahead, lower it down, and then once the tire is on the ground, you can use a torque wrench and crank it to 100, and then you know your tire isn't going to come off. And that is how you change the rear brakes. Now, this one has the 4-piston Brembo brakes style, so the piston pads, or sorry, the pads slip out the back and then you compress the pistons because there's pistons on each side. If yours is the same kind of caliper as this one, then you would just follow this procedure, but like I said, off the 2 pins at the front, rather than doing 65, you would do 91, and that would be it. Anyways, thanks again for watching. Hope this helped you out. Press the like if it didn't, subscribe for more. One other thing to tell you to do, pump the brakes 5 times before you try driving your vehicle. You'll feel the pedal go right to the floor at first, and then as you pump it 5 times, you'll feel the pressure come back.